everybody. It must be Monday at 7 o'clock because we are in the soul space. And I have a wonderful guest here tonight, which I will introduce in a few minutes. You're going to be really surprised with our guest tonight because it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but very, very fun. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to log on to the show. And of course, my feed has to catch up so I can see your comments. So I also want to talk about the astrology tonight, but we will be putting the number on the screen so you can call in live if you want. So first, I guess I will introduce this handsome man next to me. This is Bobby Bellucci. Bobby I've known for a few years, and some of you may know him and recognize him from the local music scene. He is the keyboard player and vocalist for a band called Radio Flashback. So welcome, Bobby. Going to give you a big hand.
Thank you for inviting me.
And Bobby's been in quite a few bands on the Long Island music scene. And tonight we're going to talk a lot about music and spirituality and how music changes our mood and our vibration, how music can even be used for healing. So if you have anything to participate in that conversation with, just give a call into the show. So who have we got online here? We've got Christine Camerata. Hello, Christine. How are you tonight? To participate in that conversation. Uh-oh, I forgot to turn down my iPad. So who have we got online here? I'm hearing myself in stereo. So hey, Patricia's online. We've got Sarah. So share the video, guys, if you want. I'm going to do that right now and share that to my page right here. And give me a few minutes, and you guys can do that too. I'm going to share right now. Oops. Okay. And I want to talk a little bit about the astrology. I'm going to share the show to Bobby's page too, because we want all of his fans to see us tonight.
The both of them.
No, you just underestimate yourself because you're always...
There you go.
Yep, you're there.
Cool.
So we're going to see some comments too, so we can do this. So I want to talk a little bit about the astrology because I know you guys always ask me about that, and if I don't do it, I'll get a bunch of messages and phone calls after the show. So the big thing you want to watch out for this week is secrets are going to be revealed. Something is definitely going to come in to give you more information about a situation that you've been struggling with or that you've been trying to make a decision on. There's a lot of information that's going to be revealed, a lot of secrets revealed, but the big thing also is Venus is going into Capricorn. Venus is going to be in Capricorn until March. Venus in Capricorn is all about value, and it's all about how we value ourselves, what we value in our life. So we're all going to be making some decisions about those things, maybe changing our strategy a little bit, changing the way that we do things to be more in line with the things that are really meaningful to us. And what a great time of year to have this energy during Christmas and the holidays when we're always thinking about those things a little bit. So don't be surprised if in the next month or two your strategies change about what you're thinking that you may value the most may change a little bit. So love to hear your comments and what's going on in your lives about that. And so let's get going. So Bob Bellucci.
Hi.
I have the great pleasure of seeing Bobby play sometimes. I've known him for a few years. You had a band before Radio Flashback, if I remember.
Immediately before Radio Flashback, it was a band called Slam. I was in a Heart tribute band.
A Heart tribute band. That must have been cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I played keyboards for Amber Ferrari, too, who's also
Oh, that's right. I wanted to mention that because I know you played keyboards for her for a while. She's an unbelievable talent.
She's great. She's the real deal.
Is she still touring? Because I haven't really seen her.
She still does shows locally, yeah.
Oh, very good. So now, when you prepare for a gig, I know the thing I love about Radio Flashback when I go see them is this particular band is really big on harmonies, and your vocals are really great. And you can tell, there's a lot of bands out there. The music scene on Long Island is phenomenal. If anybody isn't out there watching the music scene or live music, that's the one thing I missed the most during COVID.
Yeah.
But your band in particular, I feel like, really pays attention to rehearsing harmonies, and it makes a difference in the way you sound. So talk to me a little bit about that.
We have rehearsal every week. When we were during the summertime, we took a break from rehearsing. But when we rehearse, for the first 20 minutes, we do our vocal harmonies. We run through every song that we're going to play for the weekend. We identify weak spots in certain songs, harmony-wise, vocal-wise, and we micromanage the harmonies.
So you keep polishing the apple, polishing the apple.
To the point where, you know, we make sure we end at the same time, we end the note at the same time, that we're always on pitch.
I'll tell you, you can hear it in when you see the band, you can really hear the difference.
Yeah, it's a lot of discipline. Being on the circuit for so long, there's a lot of great musicians out there. I've worked with a lot of great musicians. There's a lot of great bands out there. But what really sells a band is the vocals.
Yeah.
Right? People don't whistle the guitar solo. They don't whistle the drum part.
No, definitely not.
They sing along to the vocals, and the vocals is what sells a song. If you turn something on the radio, as a layperson listening to music, you hear the melody. So the melody and the harmonies with this band is what sells these songs.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I was doing a little research for the show earlier today, just, you know, kind of talking about music and spirituality online and seeing what people were saying and what people were writing about. And one of the things that I saw was they actually did a study where they said music brings people together in song, because when you sing, you match your breath and your harmony and you're intaking breath the same as the people around you. Yeah, and it said that it raises the vibration because we're all in sync. Mm-hmm. And this article was really interesting because it was talking about how we go to church and everyone sings hymns and things, and that's why we get that kind of euphoric feeling. Right. So what you're saying is really true. The vocals are so important. Right.
And the point you bring up about music is celebratory, right?
Yeah.
If you're in church, it's a celebratory act, right? It's a devotional act, but it's celebratory. People sing in a choir together. I've sung in mixed choirs. I've sung in male choirs. I've sung in a barbershop quartet.
Really?
And the breathing together is important. It has a lot to do, even when we rehearse vocals. We make sure that we're all breathing in the same spot. This way nobody drops out as we're holding a note. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's funny, the thing that went through my head as you're mentioning that is, like, sometimes I was brought up Catholic, and I don't really practice the Catholic religion per se, but sometimes I'll go to church because I love the music and the certain rituals. And I never thought about it, but it's almost the same feeling when I want to go to church to hear the music as when I want to go out and hear a band.
Sure.
It's like that, you said celebratory.
Go to a gospel church.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Yeah. You just can't stay still.
Right.
You know. So it's really interesting how important music is in our life. I actually looked up a couple of quotes, and some of the quotes were so beautiful I had to print them out. So this one particularly was Ludwig van Beethoven. So Beethoven, music is a higher revelation than all wisdom and philosophy. I thought that was so amazing because it's true.
It's transcendent.
Yeah, nothing makes you feel as good as when you hear that favorite song or that it moves so much energy. Mm-hmm. And you know, people will say, oh, something moves me, or this person moves me, or this song moves me. And what they're really saying is moving our energy into a different place. And by the same token, I always tell people, sometimes I'll have a client come for a reading and maybe they're heartbroken over something and they can't seem to get past it. And I'll say to them, well, what kind of music are you listening to? And invariably, they're listening to the heartbreak songs.
Sure.
So I always say that vibration's keeping you in that vibration.
Change the channel.
Yeah, change the channel. And I remember a few years ago when I was going through my divorce, I started to listen to country music, which I had never listened to in my life, but I started listening to it because it was the only music, because I'd been with my husband like 20 years, so it was the only music that had no memory for me. So I started listening to it just to have like a fresh perspective on my life. So I guess we really can use music in our life to change everything, right?
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about your background, because I'm going to read. You sent me a little bit of a bio. So I know you've been playing music since junior high, which I just think that's phenomenal that you have something that's been steady throughout your whole life. So you play sax. I know you play keyboards. And of course, you're a vocalist as well. So you played in a dance band. What was that like in the 80s?
Well, back in the 80s, dance music was the top 40.
Yeah.
Rick James, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yep, funky stuff.
real funky stuff. It was a 6-piece band. We toured up and down the East Coast. And I'm going to embarrass myself here, but we wore the sequin jumpsuits.
You did not.
And the Capizios, the whole thing.
Capizios, I wore those, yep. Yeah. I had really short hair. I had a Pat Benatar haircut.
In the 80s, sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'm showing my age now.
Yeah, so that was a cool band. It was called Nasty.
A cool band called Nasty.
Nasty.
Only that could happen in the 80s.
Yeah, and that was actually that was college for me. That was music college for me. I studied theory in high school. I was basically hung out in the music wing in school. Band,
so
piano.
you were like the Glee. You were on TV.
Glee, yeah,
you
right,
were a Glee
right,
geek.
yeah. I was a music nerd.
Yeah.
But when I got out of high school, I played with guys. I always tried to play with guys who were better than me.
That's interesting.
Because I want to learn from
You
them.
had aspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that shows a lot about your character, because there's a lot of people who want to be the best. They want to be at the head of the room. So that really shows your dedication.
Well, you know what? Music, there's all different levels of talent. You know, it's the ocean of music is extremely deep, right? So if I can swim with guys whose talent is deeper than mine,
right,
and learn from them, and even steal from them, you know, learn stuff that they do, copy stuff that they do, borrow. It's all derivative, right? That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, well, it's true, and I think that what you said also just now really hits the nail on the head. That music is so derivative,
right?
And like that's why even myself, like I never listened to country music before in my life, but it had a purpose at one point. So you never know where you're going to end up. So I'm going to see some of our comments. If anybody has any questions for Bob while you are watching, just Pauline Brenner says, glad for this topic. So if anybody has any questions, you can call in. The number's on the screen for those of you listening and not watching. It's 516-945-9099. So I have a question. So one of the things I noticed when I come out to hear your particular band is the music scene on Long Island is very vast, and there's all kinds of things. We've got the Blues Society, and we've got all these different players. And you go out and you hear a lot of the same playlists. But you guys really have a little bit of a different playlist, and some of the songs that you choose are really, I won't say obscure, but obscure in the playing of them for local bands. Sure. And I watch the audience, and I can see that they're just eating it up. So how do you guys do your song choices? Like, where do you pick this from?
It's like giving birth. It's very painful. You know, the criteria is, first of all, we have to be able to sing and play the songs.
Right, yeah, of course.
We're only 4 pieces, so we do a lot of heavy lifting. There's only one guitar.
Right.
There are songs that have orchestrated parts. There are multiple vocal parts. So that's, you know, first criteria is, can we do it? Can we pull it off and perform it at a high level? Right.
Can we do it to make respect for the music?
Right.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, the main thing we're looking for is how popular it was the song.
Right.
You know, we're playing to a demographic. We're all in our 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. 40s, 30s. We're playing to a demographic where we all have this vast memory of the music that we grew up with.
Right.
You know, music is a time machine. Right.
And those memories bring us more memories.
Sure.
You know, you hear a song like, wow, I forgot that. You know.
So if we play stuff that people know, we try not to do obscure stuff. You know, we do it by committee sometimes. Sometimes we will bring something in. You know, we'll share a file with the other guys.
That's interesting.
And it has to be stuff that's in our wheelhouse.
Right.
And the stuff that's in our wheelhouse is guitar-driven stuff with a lot of vocals.
Right. Yeah, I know you do a lot of Foreigner.
Music. Yeah, Foreigner Sticks.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
When I was first approached to play with this band to audition, I was kind of like, another classic rock band. I've done it to death. I really don't want to do it.
Tired of it.
And then the drummer, actually, who I went to school with, said, "Look, we do this. We do Foreigner. We do Styx. We do this." And like that's the stuff that I grew up going to rock clubs and watch those bands play those songs. I'm like, that's the stuff. You know, I always wanted to do that stuff.
I was saying to my girlfriend the other night, I said, remember when we used to know guys who wore leather pants and wore eyeliner? I'm like, I guess we don't have that anymore.
We had a pair of leather pants today.
Right, we chased after quite a lot of leather-panted, eyelinered guys in our days. It was so hot.
Now you want a guy with a job.
Right, exactly. Now we just want somebody who has all his teeth and hair. So anyway, times change. But I was going to say to you, who else is in the band? We got to name your members at least, give them a shout out. So on drums, who is that person?
Drums is Tom Pantaleo. He's actually an on-air personality for WBAB. He's Rocky on BAB.
Rocky on BAB plays in Radio Flashback, so if you're fans, you know where to find him.
Tom and I went to school together. I was a couple of grades ahead of him. We played in a couple of bands together prior to Radio Flashback. But
that must be a beautiful thing to be able to play with somebody you've been kind of playing on and off with your whole life.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, but both from the same hometown, West Babylon.
Shout out for West Bab.
Shout out for West Babylon. We both went through the same music program in West Babylon. And he's a good guy, and he's a great singer. Not only is he a really good drummer, but he's a great singer. He's got a great voice.
And who else is in the band?
On guitar, we have Steve Pizzatti. Steve is the consummate salesperson. He has a lot of connections. He worked for Sam Ash and still works for Sam Ash for many years. Steve is the kind of guy that'll just come up to you and give you a hug.
Yeah, that's great.
He's very affable.
That's great.
Great guitar player.
He is
really
a great
good guitar player.
player.
Very expressive guitar player.
And he makes it look effortless, I have to say. You can tell he's really into it, but he makes it look so effortless. And who rounds out the group?
On bass guitar is Paul Blomstrum. Probably raw talent, probably the most talented guy in the band.
Yeah.
Just a great singer.
You're also talented.
Thank you. But Paul is just, I stand next to him every night and I get to listen to him sing, and it's such a treat because he is phenomenal.
And one of the things that's really comes through to the audience, like just talking about energy, is you can tell you guys have a bond, and there's an energy among you while you're doing it that you just love what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
And so it just like emanates out, and I watch, like sometimes I have a habit, because I'm into energy, obviously. So like a lot of times when I'm listening or watching, because I watch music as well, because sometimes I feel like I can actually see the music. I know that's weird. But
it's funny you said that, because I say the same thing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird, because I never heard anybody else say that. But sometimes I will like stand by the stage and you'll see me just like watching, because I can like see it happening. It's just weird, but not to me, but to everybody else. But to anyway, like one of the things I notice with that energy is it just moves the crowd. Because one of the things I do, as I was starting out to say, was like I'll watch the band, but then I always turn around and I watch the audience because I want to feel the energy. And it's like a wave that goes out from you guys and comes back in. Yeah. Do you feel that when you're on stage?
Absolutely. The energy is reciprocal.
Yeah, that's a great word for it.
I've done gigs where like there might be 15 people in the bar, and it's a terrible night, and it's really hard to play. Yeah. It's hard to sing. It's hard to move around. It's really hard. With any gig that we've done this summer where there were hundreds of people in a venue, the energy just comes right up to us.
Right, and that makes you guys play better, I guess.
It makes it so easy. Yeah. It's almost like being levitated.
It's like a boomerang.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like or an infinity symbol, like a figure eight almost.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I feel that all the time, and I think that's why so many times people will go out. Like I don't really drink. I'm not really a partier or anything. But I will go out just to hear music because I feel that vibe.
Sure.
Sure. So now, how do you feel about current music? Like what's going on in the music industry? It's almost like, talent is there, but it's really, kind of manufactured. Like, do you listen to any new artist?
You know what? I listen to a lot of alternative stuff.
Okay.
WFUV plays some really cool stuff. Sirius has a couple of alternative college-type radio stations that I listen to, and it's kind of cool because growing up, I remember reading an interview with Sting, and when he was growing up, if you heard a song, it was relevant to where he was in his life at that time. Going to school, breaking up with a girl, right? Yeah, of course. So whenever I heard that song, it kind of just brought back these memories. And what he said was at some point, music became irrelevant to him with regards to bringing up those memories.
And he just heard the music, kind of, or he just...
It just really didn't resonate with his life anymore, and I kind of feel that way.
Saying. Yeah.
If I hear something on the radio, if I even bother to listen to the radio anymore, I really don't get it. Quite honestly.
That's true, actually, and I call that. I always say, well, I finally hit a generation gap. Yeah. And so, like in my own home, I play a lot of meditation music. I play a lot of spiritual music. In the car, I don't play that, but in my home, it's kind of like a sanctuary type feeling. And I feel like that's the vibration there, you know. Right. But when I do, like even, I used to be a big follower of things like the Grammys and things like that. And I don't even know who any of these people are anymore. I just can't relate.
I could not name one current artist other than some of these alternative bands.
Yeah.
It's just... The way music, the way music is composed, apparently you can do it on TikTok now.
Right.
There's no support from record companies.
Yeah. Well, there's no studios anymore.
There's no studios. There's no, nowadays, if you want to move forward as an original artist and you approach a distributor or a record company, the first thing they ask you is, how many hits do you have on your YouTube page?
Right, of course. Yeah, it's all about the followers.
And there are really brilliant musicians out
Oh,
there. There's still
absolutely.
talent out there.
Yeah,
There really
yeah.
is talent out there.
No, I agree. I think that what I do find, in just my own personal opinion, I don't know if you'll agree or disagree, but I feel like music now that's being manufactured now or made now or composed now, I feel like it's very angry. And when we were just talking like about the 80s, and I feel like we just had happy songs, like even whether it was dance music or, just silly stuff or whatever, it was just happy stuff. You went out and you danced and you had a good time and, but now I feel like it's all political or divisive or angry. There's not a lot of things that are just happy music.
To me, it's almost mindless. I'm my background is in theory.
Right. So
and
it's different for you.
There's no, there's no real song structure anymore. It's a beat with sampled sounds,
Right.
with lyrics.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound snobbish, but to me, I feel that
It's not real music.
It's not real music.
Yeah, I get that too.
There has been a de-evolution of music over the past 100 years. If you look at the music that our parents listened to, my father grew up listening to jazz, and that's what I listened to as a kid in my parents' houses.
I remember my dad, they had the stereo that was like the piece of furniture.
Right, yeah, the console TV stereo.
Yeah, the console TV stereo. And my dad used to always love to play Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Yeah.
And so we grew up with that. My mother had all the show tunes. My mother was a big Barbra Streisand. So every Saturday we'd have to clean the house while Barbra Streisand sang to us, and things like that. But still, it brought families together, you know. So if you have a question about music or spirituality, call into the show. I just saw a question before that Pauline was asking about a soul song and a vibe at a universal frequency. So I want to answer that. I don't know if you'll be into this, but a few years ago, there's a gentleman who we're going to have on the show also. His name is Rick Bader. And Rick does all kinds of spiritual music and sound healing. And a few years ago, he actually composed and wrote for me a soul song. And what he does, it's really interesting, is he goes into your energy and he actually composes a song based on what he feels your energy to be. He goes in his studio at home and he does this. And I have to tell you, when he gave me the recording of my soul song, Pauline, it was so in resonance to my vibration at that time in my life. I used to play it and meditate with it every day. And it actually brought me to a different place. I was really in a place of detriment then. And listening to that soul song, that vibration that was resonating with me, really gave me enough of a message that brought me into a different vibration. So if you can find a healer or somebody, or Rick Bader, you can look up him online, you definitely can have someone compose a soul song. Now the second part of your question was, does it match the Schumann or the vibration of the earth? I don't think that, but we're going to have Phoenix Green on the show on the 22nd, and he's going to talk all about the Schumann resonance. So we'll do that then. But I would think your soul vibration or your soul song is going to be something that's unique to you, because no two souls are alike, right? And I can only equate it with just vibration in general. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when I meet people, I'll hear a song, and I call it spirit radio. Or I'll wake up with a song in my head, and I know Spirit's giving it to me while I'm sleeping. And I'll, a certain song, I'll never forget, certain relationships. I meet someone, even in a romantic relationship, and as soon as I meet them, that song's in my head. I don't know where it comes from. And then every time I'm with them, I keep hearing the song,
Right.
And always, if I go and I really listen to the lyrics or something, there's a message there.
Yeah.
So I just feel like music has some kind of an off-planet vibration that we're given message through.
I'm glad you answered this question, because when you read soul song, I'm thinking Motown, James Brown.
Yeah. That's okay. That is
Midnight
a soul
Hour.
song. That is a soul song. I believe that it's my belief, whether you're an artist who paints or draws or does sculpting or music or has something creative come through an instrument, whatever that instrument may be, it's my belief that it all is channeled through a higher power. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's soul music, like we think of soul food music, or a soul song, which is a vibration of your soul, put to music, it's all created to bring us to a place that we're meant to be.
Yeah.
And so in that, it's all commonality. That's the way I look at it. Because I know in my life, music has made such a huge difference at different times, like you just said.
Yeah.
And I think it's so wonderful that you have this gift and you've had it your whole life. And who knows where else it's going to bring you. Like, it's so exciting.
It's been, it's been the one constant in my life, relationships, jobs, friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're fleeting. You can count on one hand, your best friends who you've known all your life.
Yeah, that's true.
But
we come full circle, right?
Right, correct.
We start out with a couple of friends. We have all these people, and then as we get older, we come back to the core.
Your circle shrinks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And so do your horizons, unfortunately. It's kind of good to keep your horizons open.
Yeah.
But for me, the one constant in my life has been music. It's always been there. It's never left me.
And that's been a comfort for you as well as a joy.
Yeah, it's a constant. It's always there. I know that it's always going to be there.
Isn't that beautiful? You're so lucky. You're lucky to have it. You really are. That's a blessing for you. So you did something right in one of your other lives. So Rose Parascandola. I can't say that.
I know Rose. We went to elementary school together.
Oh, did you? Hey, Rose. Reminiscing with Bobby here. So she said her dad played a Herb Albert too. So I guess that was big in those years. Yeah, definitely call in if you want to, Pauline. We're here. We're all talking. Gira Marina O'Brien's here. Hi, Gira. Everybody says they're glad for this topic. My comments are not feeding all the way, so if you have comments, just call in, everybody. So I'm going to do another quote. This is Andrea Bocelli, who happens to be one of my favorite. I love to play him when I am cooking Italian food on Sundays.
Of course.
He and Frankie, because I grew up that way. Remember you'd have I grew up in an Italian family, and you'd have the 12-hour dinners. Mm-hmm. Like the 12
starting at 1 o'clock.
Right, exactly. And all the aunts and uncles came, and you sat at your dining room table the whole day. No one moved, The kids had a kid table in the kitchen. And we'd sit at the door and listen to all the stories. So Andrea Bocelli this is his quote. We use music to say things we could never say with words.
Perfect.
It's so true,
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
How many mixtapes did we get in junior high?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. You can always find the song that's relevant to whatever situation you're in.
Absolutely.
At any time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember when I started dating again after being in a long relationship, and the guy gave me a CD. This was going back 2014, and I was the first time anyone had done that for me since I was a kid, But he used to travel a lot, so he was leaving on a trip, and he left a CD on my night table. And up until then, the guy, he was a nice guy, and we were getting to know each other. When I listened to that CD, that was it. He had me after that. I was so in love. It was so music really does work.
Could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way. If I was Milli Vanilli, it would have been I am taking his call again. But but so true. And this is Gottfried Leibniz, who is a mathematician and a German philosopher, says, music is a hidden arithmetic exercise in the soul. So if you study theory, you would,
Music is math-based. It's mathematical.
Right.
Right.
And
vibrations
reading,
and beats. Yeah.
The octaves and all that. Yeah. I never really grasped that, but.
Well, notes vibrate at a certain frequency.
Right.
A is at 440. Right.
Right.
So it's all mathematical. When you break down music, it's beats per minute.
So that's why they're using so much sound for sound healing, because what we're finding out in the spiritual world is that everyone has a vibration. So what I equate to, I do a lot of healing work with cancer patients, and it's when we're sick, we're in dis-ease, right? Mm-hmm. Disease is dis-ease.
Right.
So when we're sick, we vibrate really low. If you have a cold, you're even you even talk low, your octave, whatever it is, right? But as soon as you find something joyful, you're oh my gosh, you just feel different. So it's your megahertz, it's your vibe.
Sure.
So when you're sick and you're vibing low, if you can do things that raise your vibration, it dispels the dis-ease.
And music helps that.
Exactly. Yeah. It moves the energy into a higher vibration. So so when I did the little thing about the, you blurb on when you post and you talk about the show, I was doing the promo, and the song that came into my head was American Pie and Don McLean, and Can Music Save Your Mortal Soul?
I had a feeling that's where you got it from.
Yeah, because Spirit gave me this song in my head. Spirit communicates with Spirit Radio. So it was so funny, and I was thinking about it, and I never really thought about that lyric before. And when it popped into my head, I was well, of course it certainly can, because I know music has saved my soul, right?
Sure.
So can you think of a time in your life when you were open to a new genre or a new thing of music, and it was just something that totally took you completely off guard, like an artist or someone that you...
God, it was so many times.
Was it really?
Yeah. Well, even now, over the past couple of years, I have been listening to a lot of alternative stuff.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I hadn't listened to any contemporary music for a long time.
Right.
And then just turned on FUV one day because I was driving further into the city.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
And I was like, wow, this is cool stuff. A lot of it is rock based.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
but it's not pop music.
Right.
It's alternative, right?
Right, but it's a little deeper.
Yeah, and there's this whole universe. There's this whole another biosphere of this music, alternative music.
That's interesting.
And it's kind of cool because a lot of the songs I've never heard before, but I like them. They still resonate.
Yeah,
right?
it's something new
It's
that you can relate to.
Right. It's almost like that thing that makes you feel young again when you first time you heard a song.
Right.
Back in the
retro.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sarah said that she just recently went through her song library, realizing it was kind of stuck in time and needed to update it. And she also found, gotta get that back. And she also found herself skipping a lot of songs because they reminded her of something that she didn't necessarily want to be reminded to.
Yeah.
That's true. That's how things go like that. Yep, that's the energy. But it's good that you realized it. Yeah, so it was very healing because she said some of the songs really brought back things she wanted to honor.
Sure.
And I do that oftentimes. I have a big bucket of CDs still, and I'll pop one in once in a while. I still do actually have a CD player. I'm in the process of trying to get them all on my, iTunes account. But I use that as therapy. Like I'll take a portion of time because I always feel, sometimes when we're going through things now, if you really think about it, it's parallel to something you went through before in your life.
Sure.
So it's like this energy line. And sometimes when I start to listen to the music that I would listen to at that time, it brings me to a different place so that I can actually reconcile it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music is a time machine.
Yeah, it really is.
You just, turn on the song and you step into the time machine and it brings you back to where you were when you heard that song.
Right.
I remember going to 89 North one time.
Yeah.
And there was a Pink Floyd band playing, really good band. And I'm standing in this rock club, shoulder to shoulder with everybody else wearing blue jeans and leather coats, and listening to this music. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I felt like I was 18 years old.
Yeah, that happens to me
standing
a
in the
lot.
rock clubs, watching the watching the band. It's so cool.
It is funny. I know one of the guys from Queensryche is going to be at Stereo Garden.
Oh yeah.
And some of my friends are like, "Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "I don't think I can handle it. But another decade ago, I probably would have done.
Yeah.
So funny. But I know most of you out there don't even know who that is. So anyway.
Who is that?
Who is that? So who is your favorite artist of all time? You had to know I was going to ask this.
I can't answer that. I can't give you one favorite. There's just so many.
Yeah.
There's just so many. I come down on a lot of different genres of music.
I know Stevie Wonder is one of your
I love Stevie,
your music
Earth,
gods.
Wind and Fire.
Yeah, I love her. I had tickets and they canceled.
Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, they were supposed to be at the beach this summer and they canceled the concert.
Chicago. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. Toto, there's a lot of progressive. Rush. If you force me to name one band, here it is. It's Rush.
And a lot of people don't like them.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. No, I always liked them.
I love Rush, and I was a big fan of Neil Peart. He wrote all the lyrics for the band. But when I would watch interviews with him or read his interviews, he's a nerd. He was a geek like me, and I would just feel I felt like his voice was in my head when I used to read his interviews.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm reading one of his books right now.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider. He's just so that band. If you had to pin me down,
that would be one of your top 10.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Very
for sure.
cool. Very cool. So, if you could perform anywhere in the world, where would you go? Where would you perform? Like, what did you fantasize about when you were in that junior high theory class?
In front of a really, really large, at a real large venue, in front of a lot of people. So just pick one. Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Barclays.
Yeah. Jones Beach Theater.
Okay.
Any place there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
When I joined the Radio Flashback, Steve asked me, what is it you want to do? And I said, I want to play in front of a lot of people and have a lot of fun.
Now tell me a little bit about the future, because I know you guys are planning a lot of stuff. What's going on with the band?
We're setting the table for 22 right now. I really can't divulge too much stuff,
Right.
but
the big stuff happening, I hear.
Yeah, we have a couple of venues that we still need to conquer here on Long Island, which we're working on. We're very good at networking. We have a lot of strategic partners.
And you've all been in bands before, so
Yeah.
you all have that network.
And there might be some traveling
Oh, interesting.
in
Very
our
good for
future
you.
for next year.
I can see that. I think
Yeah.
you definitely deserve that. Good
Yeah.
for you guys.
We're developing a show that we're gonna have some agencies sell to theaters and larger venues.
Very nice.
Like a radio show.
Yeah.
Where we'll cover a few artists, 2 or 3 artists in a show.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of like a radio show.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Everybody has to come.
Gotta
Gotta
come.
see the Radio Flashback Band. So where are you appearing like next weekend? You have any gigs coming up?
We're playing at Anthony's on the Lake. That's Lake Ronkonkoma.
Right, Lake Ronkonkoma.
Windows on the Lake. It's the little restaurant inside.
Yeah. Great place.
Yeah, and they feed us. That's always good.
Free food.
Yeah.
Not for you guys though. So is that Saturday?
That's Saturday, yeah.
Okay, Saturday night, Windows on the Lake, be there. And you can always like Bob's Facebook page, Radio Flashback. Please, please do that. You got to do, everyone be fans, okay? Anybody have any questions for Bob? Holly Bruno says, music transcends time. When I hear the Supremes, oh my God, they were great. The Supremes or something from the 60s, it brings me right back to dancing in my grandparents' basement to their transistor radios while Sunday dinner was cooking. If I hear Boston, I'm back in high school. Always. Those opening chords of any Boston song immediately remind me of like just hanging out on the football field when we shouldn't have been. And
I remember being amazed at that first album. Like, where did this sound come from?
yeah, it was
because
really,
it was
it's
nothing
like the coolest
like it.
thing. I remember
Yeah.
when, well, now I'm really dating myself. I remember when Fleetwood Mac came out. That was like tremendous. I mean, it was like unbelievable. Like the way everyone just gravitated towards them. Mega stars.
Talk about transistor radio. That's what I used to listen to Fleetwood Mac on, a little
Oh, really?
just round transistor radio.
Oh,
and
how
the first
funny.
Fleetwood Mac song I heard was Rhiannon.
Yeah. And the lyrics, Stevie Nicks, I love to watch her interviews. I just always felt like she was such a mystical, spiritual
Yeah.
person. And she's so talented. I've seen her live many, many times. And she just really always brings it, I have to say.
Yeah.
She definitely always brings it. And the fan base that she has is amazing. Like, you really have a lot of groupers. Pat Ellis Christensen says, for me, it's Led Zeppelin that brings her back to high school. Definitely.
I know Pat likes Robert Plant, right? Pat, you like Robert Plant.
See, that's cool. All of them. I mean, this was music, people. I love it when I go to, a couple of years ago, I went to Van Halen at the beach, before COVID. And it was really cool, Bob, because half the audience was all teenage boys.
Van Halen, yeah.
And I was like, yes, this is the way it should
Yeah.
be, They're all probably playing guitar at home and all that stuff, so.
Getting back to what Pat, she mentioned Zeppelin. There's a band called Greta Van Fleet, which is like Zeppelin reincarnated. It's almost like they grabbed the
heard of them.
baton from Led Zeppelin and are now carrying this
Really?
hard rock baton. You got to check them out. They're
Greta Van
awesome.
Fleet.
Greta Van Fleet, yeah.
Well, I definitely have to check that out. So what else can we talk about? Let's see, we got a few minutes left. I'm going to read a couple of more. Oh, Aldous Huxley, who's one of my favorite guys because he was just so totally weird. After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. That's pretty deep.
That is.
But he was a deep guy. So, and Faulkner, William Faulkner, who we all had to read in like 9th grade English lit, I would say that music is the easiest means in which to express, but since words are my talent, I must try to express clumsily in words what the pure music would have done better. It's true, a melody can really make
Sure.
you. I always, I'm just always in awe of people who compose.
Yeah.
Because I just could never do that. That's just not my forte. But when I hear certain things that are composed, whether it's a rock song or a spiritual song or whatever it is, I just always wonder, what was that person thinking at that time? Like, what kind of energy was put into that vibe?
It's interesting because I've read a lot of interviews and listened to a lot of interviews with songwriters. And sometimes it's biographical. They'll be writing about a situation in their life.
Right.
Sometimes they'll just, read a headline or a sentence, and they'll just take that,
inspired.
germinate that little seed into a song.
Right.
The process is amazing.
Right.
Sometimes it just happens organically. do you write the lyrics first? Do you write the songs? Do you write the music first?
Right.
I've written, and it kind of did it like it was words and music at the same time. It just kind of happened organically.
Right. Like you think of a song like John Lennon's Imagine, or some of the things that Eric Clapton's written.
Mm-hmm.
And like Eric Clapton, I always feel his songs, everything he's written to me is romantic in one way or another.
Yeah.
And just thinking about like how that person's energy must be in real life, if that's what's coming out of them, So as much as artists always say, oh, it's about this or it's about that, I always feel like it's so revealing.
It's interesting. We've all grown up listening to Billy Joel because we live on Long Island. It's like part of our DNA.
Right. It has to be part of your religion.
Exactly. And it's gotten to the point now where you hear Billy Joel on the radio and you kind of almost tune it out because you've heard the song 100 times before. I recently have been. I think I was learning one of his songs for sometimes they do like a little video thing.
Yeah. You had to do it for something.
So I kind of dug into his catalog a bit, and his lyrics are quite profound. He really he is a great lyricist.
Right.
I mean, obviously he's a great piano player.
I think it's like you say, they almost made him cliche in some ways because they played him so much.
Sure.
And it was like you weren't allowed to dislike him, locally, especially.
You kicked off the island.
Right. So part of us wanted to rebel against that,
right.
But it's true, like New York State of Mind, if you listen to those lyrics, I always thought that was such a beautifully written song.
Yeah.
And you can picture like the sensory that it brings you in your mind when you listen to that song. You can picture it all.
I recently dug into An Innocent Man, which is the title track from that album, and it's a very simple song. It's so it's 2 chords.
Simple,
the
yet
verse.
the message is very complex.
Yeah, the message is. It's almost like a therapy session.
Yeah.
So here's this guy just write a very simple song, and he says it all in 3:05.
Right.
It was one of those songs that I was at a point in my life where like, yeah, I get this. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Great song.
Isn't it true? Like sometimes you can listen to a song 50 times, 100 times, and then all of a sudden you get it.
Yeah.
So, but that you just meant to in that moment. What was I going to say? Somebody else was just saying something about that the rhythm and music. Susan Newman says it helps her detach from the stupid stuff that is useless. Very true.
Hi, Susan.
Brings you back to reality. You got a lot of fans on here, Bobby, tonight. I got to tell you, all the ladies love him. So, So don't have a lot of comments tonight. That's okay because we're having fun. I'm enjoying our conversation.
This is fun.
So
I'm not even nervous anymore.
That's good. See, I don't bite, right? So love these little quotes. So William Merrill says, there is nothing in the world so much like prayer as music. Very true, right?
Music could be prayer, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Definitely. I think there's some songs that we sing over and over and over, and they almost become something that we worship.
Right.
So that it becomes our vibe. We're actually, the lyrics we're singing, we're trying to bring that energy in.
Did you ever spend your entire day with a song stuck in your head?
Yeah, I call it an earworm. I think that's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll wake up with a song in my head. I call it spirit radio. And when I was first really embracing like my ability to read and heal and be psychic and all those things, I would wake up with these songs in my head, and I would think, oh, I must have heard it on TV or I must have heard it on radio. And then I realized I probably hadn't because some of them were very obscure. And I would go to Google and look at all the words. Mm-hmm. And the words always held a message for me about what I was particularly working through or trying to understand in my life at that moment. So I knew that spirit was definitely speaking to me, or my higher self or my subconscious or something was speaking to me through these lyrics of songs.
Very
and so I actually started to keep a diary of it because it was actually a big part of my opening to understanding things and becoming involved in my life was these lyrics. Mm-hmm. And the really amazing thing about that was it was like in The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. These lyrics had been there all along.
Right.
But I didn't know it.
Right, that's right. They didn't resonate with you at that particular, at any other particular time except at that point.
Right. Yeah. So I always find a lot of things in life it always comes back to The Wizard of Oz. If you read that story, it's like that we're all on that yellow brick road, thank you, Elton John, and like, And it's all, okay, I'm home again, I'm home again, I'm home again.
I've met a few people that were just angry that the house fell on their sister, that's all. Yeah.
I couldn't understand when I was a kid, because I told I was brought up Catholic. So every time the house would fall on the witch and Dorothy was in it, I would not understand why Dorothy didn't feel guilty for killing the witch.
But didn't she feel bad when she came out of the house, she saw the little feet curl up?
I don't remember that part. So I always just think, man, Wizard of Oz has no guilt. I wish I was like that. You know, Dorothy has no guilt. I should be more like Dorothy, because in the Catholic religion, there's a lot of guilt. So then I became an Episcopalian, because that was like, no, I became, an Episcopalian because that was Catholic light. You didn't have so much guilt. And then I finally
That's a great way to put it.
Right, and then I finally made my way to like this Christian Buddhist thing I am now. I don't know. So just worship the light. So, so Christine Camarada says she wakes up with songs in her head too. See, it's a message for her. Yep, I believe the same thing, Christine, so we're on the right page.
You know, sometimes the same thing happens to me, and I go through the same process. Like, did I hear this song yesterday?
Well, look up the lyrics, because they're talking to you, Bobby.
Sometimes it's not even the lyrics. Sometimes it could be the ending of it. I remember there was an Aerosmith song that I woke up, it was the end of the song.
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4 chords, and I didn't know what it was, and it was making me nuts. Like,
so you had to go to Google it.
why would I didn't know what to Google.
How. Yeah, you didn't know how.
So I just had to keep, like, it was playing in my head, the end of the song, and then
Steven Tyler wants you to come visit.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely hang out with Steven.
Aerosmith has a very big place in my heart. I don't know why, but Aerosmith is just like, I feel like I'm connected to them.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Steven Tyler.
Really?
He was my first, like, rock star guy that I idolized.
Because I would go see Aerosmith in concert, and I'd pretend he was singing only to me.
You and about every other woman in the entire arena.
I was like, no, it's Steven Tyler. It's my Steven Tyler. You don't understand. It's my Steven Tyler. Goofy stuff. But then I used to actually, when I was like real preteen, like really young, I don't even think I was a teenager, I used to change my shirt to a pretty shirt and do my hair to sit in front of the TV to watch David Cassidy and the Partridge Family. So I definitely was a strange child.
Wow. So you thought maybe he'd see through the TV?
Yeah, it was like warped or something. Okay. I don't know. So that's how much music has played in my life since the beginning of time. So when you were a kid, what bands did you follow? Did you also like go step out of the norm? Were you ever into classical when you were a younger kid, or?
Well, jazz.
Yeah, you said, right.
Because I played sax, and my father, this is a funny story, you know, they send you home in 4th grade, you know, and you have to pick an instrument.
Pick an instrument.
And I wanted to play drums. And my dad, he wasn't a musician, but he definitely had music in him.
About the drum kid coming.
Yeah, so he liked saxophones. He used to have this S-shaped lamp, right? And when he took the shades off, and he would make believe he was playing a saxophone. So I remember how he sold it to me. He goes, if you want to play drums, you're going to have to wait to get on the kit, you know, behind all these other guys. Play saxophones. You can play it all the time. Like, okay, all right, whatever you say.
So he manipulated you because he was tired of playing his lamp.
He was tired of playing his lamp. But when I was in the jazz bands, he would take me to rehearsal, every rehearsal, and he would sit there and listen to the band play. And he knew every song.
Yeah.
He knew all the artists. He was like an encyclopedia.
That was a great connection for you to have with your dad.
It was great. It was really cool.
That's
so
beautiful.
My first exposure to music was through him, and it was jazz. And then all the Italian stuff, you know, you talked about Sunday, right?
Yeah.
We used to listen to Joe Rotolo in the Italian hour. Uh-huh. When my mother was making the sauce and the meatballs. But my first exposure was jazz. As far as bands that I followed as a kid, Aerosmith was, again, that was my first rock band thing.
Yeah.
Elton John, Kiss. Remember the Columbia House thing where you'd send in
your
penny,
dollar or whatever,
and you got, 12 records? Yeah. So, you know, all the bands I mentioned, Aerosmith, you know, Kiss.
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy, you know, they all came with, you know, for a penny.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of was my first exposure to like the rock side of music.
I got exposed because I'm the youngest of 5 children. Who would have 5 children now? I don't know. But I'm the youngest of 5, and so I got all the hand-me-downs. So I had a really eclectic, weird 45s. I had all the 45s in the little 45 case, and I had everything from Chicago to the Beach Boys to like real 50s music from my really older brothers and sisters, because they're like a lot older than me. And that's how I learned to like everything. Yeah. Because I just, whatever they handed to me, I don't want this anymore, and they gave it to me.
Well, you become well-rounded, right?
Yeah. And I remember every afternoon running up the stairs after school and playing my little 45s, and I thought it was the hottest thing ever because they were giving me their handoffs.
You gotta get that thing in the center of the record, though.
Yeah. The only thing I never got was any Beatles. They held on to those, so.
Of course.
But it was pretty fun, I have to say. So I just want to thank you so much for being on tonight. It was such
Again,
a great,
thank you for having me.
a
I had a
great
lot of fun.
conversation. And I want to say definitely the spirituality with music cannot be topped, because out of anything in life, I think that is so important.
Yeah.
I often think to myself, if I was ever put in any situation where you just couldn't have music, I don't know if I would survive it.
Yeah. Who would want to live in a world without music?
No, it's like that Footloose movie where you couldn't dance.
That was COVID. That was last year. We used to play at clubs, and people wanted to dance. Like, you can't dance.
Right.
And it was like being in the movie Footloose.
Right, it was. It definitely was. Where's Kevin Bacon now? I want to know. So check out Radio Flashback Saturday night at the lake. What is it?
Anthony's on the Lake.
Anthony's on the Lake. Sorry. And a couple of other little facts. We have a few minutes left. I just want to see. Wait, got to check my comments. A little bit of everything. Sarah says she got all the Youngest of Five stuff too. Yeah, they don't have bands like Aerosmith and stuff anymore. We were lucky. The music that we
had the best music.
We had the best music ever. I wasn't too crazy about 90s music for a while there, but even then, like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, I mean, it was fun.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Mark Wahlberg.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one last fact. It says listening to music that matches your mood can also be helpful in releasing emotional tension. Now, we all know we have a lot of that in the world right now, a lot of division and everything. Listening to sad songs can make you feel sad and encourage the feeling of being understood and connecting to other humans on a deep level. So try and raise the vibration. Don't listen to the sad stuff, and that will connect us all. And if you have some time, you get out, hear some live music. The live music scene on Long Island is fabulous. Who's your favorite band other than Radio Flashback?
Wondrous Stories.
I love Wondrous Stories too. What a talented bunch. I had Mark Bonder on my show like a year ago. I'm going to have him on again. He's a Reiki master. He does a lot of stuff. The thing I love about Wondrous Stories is they have no set list.
Right.
You call it out, they'll play it for you, and they do it pretty well. Really eclectic group of guys too.
Kenny is a good guy, and if I can pitch one thing, we're going to be playing with Wondrous Stories at 89 North in February. I don't know the exact date,
but we're
going to be doing a show
one
with them at 89 North. Yeah.
That will be a fabulous show to definitely watch that show. 89 North with Wondrous Stories and Radio Flashback. That's going to be a sold-out bill. So we're going to find you there on Saturday. Any other big things coming up, Bob?
Well, if you go to our website, you can find our schedule. It's radioflashbackband.com. You click on the tour little tab, and it'll direct you to our Facebook page, which has our entire calendar.
Everybody's saying they love this show, that you were great, and what a great show this was.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to say goodnight. Thank you, everybody. Next Monday, I will have on Gina Califano. Gina is a healer. She specializes in essential oils and all kinds of natural health and wellness, so definitely stay tuned for that. And you guys all know where to find me. You can find me on Zencuda.com on the web, Zencuda on YouTube, and of course my Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook is Georgia Rose Zencuda, and Instagram is Zencuda Official. Thanks so much. I love you all. This is the energy I source my life from. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.